just bring you back to some things in the past couple years? No? Is that just me? Okay, moving on. Hey everyone, I'm Megan Lee, and welcome to the Noob Reviews. Today, we are going to review another independent comic. I was approached by this comic book creator. His name is Adem, and I'm not going to say his last name because I'm going to butcher it. So we're going to call him Adem because that's his name. That's his first name. And so he is the writer of this comic. It's called Category 0, and I actually really, really love it. The storyline is awesome, and it's got like some political undertones of what we've all kind of experienced somewhat the last couple years, but like just doesn't really push any sort of agenda. It just lays out this story, and then take from it what you will. Just be entertained or, connect to it in some way, whatever. I really love this. I love the art. I love the story. I was given 5 issues to review, so that's really cool, and a bunch of art to look at. So I'm very, very excited to go over this with you guys. And this is issue 1. Just double checking. Okay, so I'm going to go all the way down here and read this to you guys. And you can find this on Scoutcomics, and I'm going to have the links below, and Adam's Twitter link, all that stuff. So Category 0. Earth's entire population is infected with an airborne virus, but only 1% have the specific gene required to activate it. Those that have the gene come to be known as 1%ers. As a side effect, some of these individuals go on to develop unusual abilities. In most cases, these abilities are harmless, but in a few rare cases, they prove to be extremely dangerous. As such, all 1%ers are quarantined by a company called Synaxis and put into specialized facilities to undergo further study. An event involving a 1%er triggers the start of a war between a government-backed Synaxis and 1%ers everywhere. It's time to pick a side. In issue 1, everything's going so fast. I can handle this. What is happening? Stop. Listen to my words. Here we are. Front cover. Begin. So we're at this laboratory. We have this scientist dude. He is suspiciously sick, obviously, from what we read. He has discovered something that he's trying to get across to his coworkers, and also one of his coworkers is his son. And he's trying to get the truth out there about this virus they're working on that's called Strix. And apparently he's been affected by it, as we can see. So this party ends quite dramatically, comes to a very dramatic end, as we can see. So then we move forward 20 years later to, it looks like it's a college classroom, obviously. And we get to learn a little bit more about the Strix virus, or strain 1X. Discovered by scientists at Synaxis. This is the largest research and development company in the world. And they test people for this virus that leads us to the shocking discovery that every single person in the world is infected by it. It has an effect on only 1%. Yes. At this point, things seem like pretty harmless. Nothing horrific has happened, right? We're just getting some background info. And then this lady, we are following her. We go to a place called Eden. We realize that it is a security site, and this is minimum security. So it looks so lovely and peaceful and kind of normal looking, right? It just looks like you're driving into a suburb, but it's under security, military security. So all of these 1%ers live here, and they can live a normal life. But she can't stay she can only visit. So family members are separated, but they can visit, which is kind of horrible because you can't live a normal family life, really, when you have to go back and forth and visit. Ooh la la. So, literally they just stayed a night. So then we get to experience what started it all. Very iconic picture down here, guys, of the little, rabbit teddy bear thingy. And so this was the thing that caused everything that is to come, basically. Very short little intro, but it hooks you. It really hooks you. I like a good hook, a little mystery, making you get into it. So that is Category 0, Issue 1. We have our background information. We have some of our characters. Let's see where we go from here. Issue 2. Back to Issue 2, Category 0 with Adem. I am not saying that last name. I'm sorry. Please tell me how to say it. So in Eden, Buddy we met wakes up and discovers that security has been increased in the neighborhood. All individuals are to stay inside their homes. They're calling it a terrorist attack. He realizes that his family was involved or was there. And this is how he finds out. Like literally this on the TV, which is a horrible, horrible way to find out. I mean, maybe nobody knew his family was in there. But he sees his daughter's little rabbit teddy bear thingy and he just loses it. And at this place, they test them. They conduct tests on them every day. And he's in the minimum security part of Eden because they had come to the conclusion that he was not overly dangerous. But, well, emotions can get the better of you under certain circumstances. So things are happening. Here's where we get some of this political stuff coming in. We have City Hall discussion. And this would be the type of discussion that is probably happening in different cities all over the country, right? Basically, 1%ers have more or less lived within the community. And if they show certain signs of something, then they test people, right? And then they put them in the facility so that they can't harm other people around them. Because I guess these abilities, they can be very hard to control, as we've seen. Not everybody knows if they're a 1%er. Up until this point, it's not been something they test every individual for, right? I think it's been like voluntary. It's been you show different signs that you could possibly be a 1%er, and then you're asked to test. But nobody was forcing you to be tested. So now the discussion is, should everybody be tested? Are all 1%ers terrorists? Do we look at this as a terrorist incident? And we find out there's been a second attack in Eden. And here we go. We're at school. This is a high school. And here's where things get really militant. Can all students and faculty members please make their way to the emergency meeting point outside the sports hall? Thank you. And here we go. We got these lines. We got like all this military personnel, medical personnel. Following recent events, the government has been tasked to test individuals for the 1% gene. You're not being singled out. This is a nationwide scheme to test everyone. Can you imagine this? Imagine like your kids are at school, right? You're at work and you don't really know what's happening. You just assume they're going through their day. So you're at work, but this is happening. Your kids are being lined up. Your kids are being tested, and you don't really have a choice. It's just line up, get the test. Nobody tells you why. It's just follow the rules, follow the crowd, don't question it. So a teacher obviously steps up, has it done, and they're saying this test is mandatory for everyone. Have your picture taken before proceeding inside. We're going to start with faculty members first. Suspicious, right? So they're going through the testing. They've set up this facility very fast in the gym. 15 have tested positive, and there's a team circling the area to make sure no one escapes. So they're trying to tell everybody, oh, it's not a big deal, blah, 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 blah. Don't worry about it, yada, yada. But we have guys with guns surrounding the school, making you stay in line. All this security for students, it's overkill. And as soon as they test positive, they are singled out. They're told they're not going to be singled out, but they are singled out. Look at them. They're being taken away. It's invasive of privacy, right? It's a minor medical procedure. It takes a sample of their blood, mixes it with a biological compound for testing their blood cells, and it simultaneously processes their DNA. And they keep getting singled out, and they're put into these vans. Like, this is crazy. This is like militant stuff. It's crazy. This story, I just find this whole story really, really crazy. We fast forward to Eden, to this scene, just bodies everywhere. And one survivor. And he goes through, he's escaped Eden. He's come through to the wreckage site at the bank where his family was, and he's found his daughter's little stuffed animal. And that is the end of issue 2. Look at this emblem. It's very interesting emblem. It reminds me of a certain emblem of a certain group, if you know what I'm saying. Just look at the lines and the angles of that. This emblem here. Interesting. Synaxis, issue 3 of category 0. Here we go. We have rounded up all these high school students, people all over the city, all over the nation, have been tested. It's not voluntary, it's mandatory testing. It's a minor medical procedure. They're taking your blood, your DNA, they're taking a picture of you, and they're saying you're not being singled out, but you are, and you're being sent to different sites. So we go back to Eden, where literally everybody died but one person. One of the 1%ers was one of the strongest. There's been 2 incidents now of 1%ers basically exploding the area around them. And now all 1%ers are taken to maximum security facilities. They don't get these minimum security facilities. It's maximum security. It's a prison. They're being sent to a prison. And we get to meet some new characters. Okay, so here we are. We're going to meet some more characters. When I first read this, I thought, oh boy, this is like total teenager stuff. This guy's like sneaking in to see his girlfriend. Dad sees and gets all whatever. But then he gets on his phone. I was like, why wouldn't he just go upstairs? I think it's a stepbrother, and he's a 1%er, so he's been living in a facility, but he's come back to see his mom and his sister. So basically, their parents are not getting along, and we get to see his powers, which are to change color. He's like a chameleon. He can blend into his surroundings, which is kind of cool. I would have that power. What we find out, though, is that her dad has called Synaxis to come get her brother. When you're a chameleon, you can't wear clothes because your skin is what changes, your clothes aren't. So he's blending into his surroundings. It's so cool. He's like absolutely naked. This is what they do. No questions asked. Like, it just extreme force immediately. And her dad did that. So we're seeing how this, going to these extremes, how it's affecting families. Maximum security facility, Omega. We've seen Eden, a minimum security facility. We're about to see a maximum security facility. Lots of big metal doors. Everything is, it's like a prison. Look at this. They all have to put their belongings into provided containers. All their personal items are taken away. They have to wear these like uniforms. It's like a prison uniform. Look at them. They're in jumpsuits. Follow the rules, stay in line. We have very angry people saying, you're not students or kids or anything else. You're just 1%ers. You're not human anymore. You're just a thing. There's so many characters jumping in. It took me a little bit to follow, but we're seeing we've come across 3 different groups now. And so we have this group here, and they're a group of 1%ers, and they just basically move from place to place, kind of staying undercover, staying off the radar. They're kind of off grid, right? Trying to survive. This little girl is like super cute, and her abilities are very interesting. She's like the tiniest thing. This blind guy, he has very heightened senses, so he can sense when people are close by. Here we go. This guy's got electric shock powers. Our little girl is insanely strong. That's painful. And she has healing abilities. Some of them get captured, the rest leave. We go back to our facility here, and it's just like, look at how this is set up. Like, they're in jail. They're behind these glass, bulletproof, whatever, shatterproof windows. Apparently they can talk to each other through them, though. So they're not soundproof, not completely soundproof. This guy has been here so long that he's basically lost his mind. You aren't getting out, kids. This place is hell. And they're going to do unspeakable things to us here. You went from high school to this because you carry a genetic difference in you. That is crazy. I really, really love this comic. Category 0, issue 4. Back at Omega, when they're dragged away from the group, and he's telling them what happened when it was found out that he was a 1%er. So he's been here a while. After they dragged me away from the group, they took me somewhere and made me look into some sort of scanner. Tried to force me to change into these clothes. I refused at first. Told them I knew my rights. So they beat me, electrocuted me, and I thought I was going to die. After that, they marched me past what seemed like hundreds of cells, and the further down we went, the more depraved the inmates seemed to get. Some looked like they had lost their minds. They threw me into an empty cell. The guy next to me called himself Chase, and I asked him about the facility and the inmates I'd seen. He told me about Omega and how they use the whole research facility thing as a front to conduct barbaric experiments on 1%ers. He said the tests were done in some kind of underground laboratory, how Synaxis used drugs to keep them sedated and suppress their abilities. Soon after he told me all that, they came for him. He didn't even put up a fight, but they beat him anyway. As they dragged him away, he shouted out something about a movement. You can silence me, but you can't stop the movement. The guy in a nearby cell seemed to know what he meant. When I asked him where they were taking Chase, he said they were going to kill him. So that's like, we just went from high school, fooling around in the hallway at high school, to this very stark, horrific reality of being a lab rat, basically. And this is back to our group with the little girl who's like super, super strong, right? And they're kind of being off grid, living together, barely staying under the radar. And they're trying to get somewhere, a certain place. There's also very weird, we went from suburbs to city, okay? Like they're taking an Uber or a bus. Look at everything they have to go through to get on this bus. Scans your face, you have to scan a card, you have to do a fingerprint. You're in the system. Everybody is in the system. It's so creepy. Don't get to that place, peeps. We have one group about to meet another group of 1%ers. Here's the peeps that got left behind, remember? So they have been taken to Synaxmus. And this girl is the one that closed up his wound with like ice burns. And they're torturing her. That's just horrific. But she freezes him. Oh, I forgot about this part. That's so gross. Ew. Back to the city. The 1%ers meet each other, hiding from the law. You just gotta live on the run now. But these people meet them and tell them, we've been following you. We realize you're 1%ers too. We live in the city, but we are headed for the docks. An old abandoned dock on the other side of the city. A safe place for 1%ers. So the 1%ers are, gathering together. There's this underground movement happening. And that's what happens. With government overreach, you're gonna get underground movements, right? It's the way it goes. It's the way it goes. And we are back to Omega. Freya, she healed her friend with the ice. She's about to be experimented on. Somebody like that comes up to you with a syringe and is like, relax. We're just gonna run a few tests. Well, you're tied down. Yeah, okay, I'm going to relax, sure. So, more and more of our groups of people that we've met are gathering together. We're seeing this underground movement. It's getting really, really exciting. We are at issue 5. In our cover, we see the people gathering together. We see the people rising up against the government. Because being a 1%er, like they've broken up families. People are just living on the run. Life is no longer peaceful, and people just want to live their lives, right? People just want to live their lives. We're at Omega facility. This girl's name is Megan. And we discover this very interesting secret about her. So her daddy comes to visit, and we go back to 12 years later, where Megan, when she was little, is having to be cared for by her big sister because she's got a fever. And this is when her sister finds something out. Big sister Carla finds out that Megan is telepathic and says, don't ever speak your thoughts in somebody else's mind. Don't ever do that. And so she makes her little sister swear never to do that. She makes Megan swear. And one day, they kind of let something slip. Because Megan talks to Carla telepathically, and then Carla answers her out loud. And it just kind of accidentally happened at the dinner table. And Megan, still a child, very innocently says, oh, I just talk to Carla in her head sometimes, that's all. Mother just kind of tries to brush it off as a joke. Father gets really suspicious. Carla says, it's me. I can hear what people are thinking. I'm telepathic. So she basically puts it on herself so that they don't discover it's her sister. Because otherwise they're going to send her sister away. And their father is saying they need to report their daughter to Synaxis because it's going to cost him his job, and he thinks he can use his leverage in the company, and that, any test she goes under won't be too horrific. Carla up and leaves and goes on the run, leaving Megan behind. Megan finally gets found out because she was at the high school when they were testing them, and so they found out actually she was the 1%. And she gets into her dad's head and calls him a lot of things. Causes him some pain. Apparently, when you get in people's head, you can give them pain. She is not happy. This is totally prison life. They're living prison life. This is how they have to talk to friends and family. Look at this. They're rounding people up like animals. Anyone who tests positive gets taken to a facility. And things get really violent because they're taking away a little girl from her mother. She tested positive. The mother fought them. We're giving you our final warning, and they shoot her in the head. This is crazy, crazy stuff. We got drones monitoring abandoned buildings to find 1%ers. So this group is being hunted still, taking kids away from their families. Here's the escape plan. They're going to fight their way out. This little girl is so strong. It's a little girl. I'm not little. Crunch. Yeah. Escape. This would be actually, I feel like this comic book could be made into a really fun video game where you have to like stay alive, stay away from the drones and the guards, fight your way out, all that stuff. You get captured and you have to escape from Omega or whatever. You have to get to the docks, all of that stuff. I think it would be cool. We're back at Omega. They're all being sedated. And this doctor dude, he is supposed to stick her with sedation, but he doesn't. He just makes it look like he did. He needs her help. Because he's about to break people out. He's part of the resistance. So he's in Synaxis, but he's part of the resistance. And he is gathering people up at the docks. And it's a safe haven for everybody. They've all just been kind of like living like under the radar, really peaceful, off grid, not bringing attention to themselves. But now at this point, they're being hunted. Synaxis is hunting them and they're backed by the government and they won't stop till they find all the 1%ers. So it's time to not just fade into the background. It's time to come forward. And so he's like gathering the people together and he's giving them an option of like who is going to stand up and fight. Who is going to be part of this? Here's a man, Leonard. Still got his daughter's little bunny rabbit. This is Category 0, conflict. Things are very much escalated, as we can see by the cover. We are back in the lab. We go back to 1998 when Strix was discovered. So we get a little bit of that history in here. So like you've made this virus to help people, but it ends up hurting them. Present day trouble escalates as thousands of people take to the streets for what is now the 5th day of protests, since a video showing a woman's death at the hands of Synaxis troops went viral last week. Doesn't this just bring you back to some things in the past couple years? No? Is that just me? Okay, moving on. Yeah, it's just crazy. It's crazy. This is the president. Together we face a tough choice. On the one hand, we can test people for a potentially dangerous gene and house those who test positive in safe facilities, places where they can be monitored and given the help and support they need. Or on the other hand, we can sit idly by and wait for another attack. Let's not forget that among 1%ers, there are those with powerful abilities who wish to do us harm. And if not for Synaxis' good work, these terrorists would be free to tear down our cities with no one to oppose them. I don't like her. We got protests in the streets. These people are trying to get out of the city. They have a friend at a farm to stay in the barn. This farmer is suspicious, but he doesn't ask a lot of questions. He just doesn't want to know. So everybody beds down in that barn. We go back to Megan trying to mess around with the scientists. Interesting. So she's telling her, you think that it's the first time a 1%er lost their shit and killed a whole bunch of people like that? UFO sightings, wildfires, earthquakes. You know, almost 10% of all recorded natural disasters in the last 5 years have a 1%er tied to the event. We call the ones who do that kind of damage Category 1s. Synaxis either takes them in or takes them out. So she's being threatened. Megan is being threatened. She has this power that Synaxis wants to use, but she's being threatened. And she's not being tortured as much because her dad works here and he's still like trying to protect her. So her dad just doesn't like have any guilt or shame to live with. So he's like doing the right thing all the time. But our friends in the barn who are trying to escape, we come across some issues because our farmer buddy listens in on their conversation, makes some calls. I don't understand why she went to the farmhouse to pee though. Let's just go behind the barn and pee. Like, I don't know, whatever. If she hadn't gone to the farmhouse to pee, all of this would never happen. Here we are. And here he is. He's thinking he's doing the right thing. He's thinking he's on the right side of history. But what did Sam do? Called Synaxis. So we are on the run again. It's not that heavy, but it is one of those ones that kind of makes you think, which I really, really like. And it's also entertaining. We got that adventure in there. We got some of that mystery. This is quite a fun comic book series. I'm very much enjoying it. Hope you guys are too. And if you're very, very interested, or even a little bit interested, please go to Scout Comics. And you can get Category 0. And it's a really good price, guys. It's worth it. If you're on a budget, we have digital copies, and they're only $2.99. Digital copies of all 5. That is worth it. If you are interested in Category 0, please go get this. Even just get the digital copy. It's a lot of fun. It's a great story. Very much enjoying it. Subscribe to Adem. Follow him on Twitter so you can keep up with Category 0. Hope you guys enjoy, and I will see you next time.